How's it going, guys? Welcome to Comic Art Channel. Today we have a book out earlier this year from Fantagraphics called Metax by Antoine Cosse. Um, just wanted to go over it. It's a very interesting book. I actually wasn't planning on reviewing this book, but because my first read through wasn't that impressed superficially, but I found, after reading through it, a lot of the imagery just sticks with you, and I think I came to appreciate it more and more after the reading, thinking about it, um, than while I was actually in the process of reading it. Partially because probably um, the narrative, there's a narrative there. It's telling a clear story, but I feel like, um, the narrative is there uh, to really just be a backbone for showcasing the art. Um, and, the book feels really more like a visual experiment in narrative and storytelling. Um, so yeah, I mean, from that perspective, I have to kind of highly recommend it. Um, even the art didn't blow me away at first, but it's just an imagery that uh, kind of stays with you. So we'll kind of, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but we'll kind of go through. Um, it's essentially a story of, I guess, revolution. So one of the themes is just, revolting against evil, conquest, kind of domination, and then you get a little bit of preserving the environment. Um, yeah, you know, um, the art is pretty. I describe it as minimalist. Um, there's a lot of kind of like, I'm not really an art scholar, but it gets pretty abstract at points, surreal at points. But I describe it as minimalist. Yeah, so like a movie that I kind of thought about thinking about this book is Gattaca. I don't know why, but it's kind of that sepia tone that overlays everything, and it's like a retro, futuristic um, impression that it leaves you with, and so yeah, I mean, there's basically this material, magical kind of material called Metax that has allowed this kingdom or whatever to dominate the world, and they can't seem to find any more. And so they've kind of harvested it all, mined it all, and there's kind of this struggle and pressure to continue um, finding it to hold up, the kingdom and the rulers. Um, all the while, there's kind of you know, uh, backstory of kind of random kind of killings of the king's horses, and yeah, you're trying to figure out what's happening there, and it turns out to be this kind of bit of a revolutionary force trying to overturn um, you know that society and get away from any sort of warmongering, and this reliance on uh, this substance, this material, which You get kind of a taste of what it is, but not really. Yeah, but as you see, the art is just I can only describe it as kind of minimalist. It's not like hyper detailed. It's uh, the imagery stays with you though. Um, yeah, I mean, I think this book is really you know created to just show off a lot of artistic experimentation from Cosse. I'm not really familiar with much of his other work. Um, and I hurriedly took this off the shelf to read it because I got an email from a gallery in France, Huberti Brain, that they're holding an exhibition for his art and the art from Metax, and so I'm like, okay, let me read this real quick. Maybe I might be interested. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's not so crazy in depth, not a ton of like exposition. I really just categorize it as a visual experiment, that he's pretty successful with. I mean, if you look at these kind of layouts, very interesting way he goes about, uh, expressing his ideas. Um, the buildings, the city, the kind of world building in there, also pretty minimalist. That's where, but it looks like some. Society. Um, yeah, and so, um, there's a lot of pressure on this one guy to find this Metax, and if he doesn't, him and his family will feel the consequences. And so there's a lot of pressure on. Um, the powers that be, ruthless to remain in power, um, and they have their henchmen to go about and serve them. So, um, yeah, I mean, like these visuals, I think they tend to stay with you. Um, I think it's really, just the simplicity, but the, you know, kind of uniqueness of the look of the characters. Um, lots of kind of just spotting of black, against very little background, or simple backgrounds with very large shapes. Uh, yeah, I going through experiencing it just kind of when you don't know what the story is, uh, you don't really, you're not blown away, right? Because you're just like, okay, what's happening here? Um, what's kind of the point of this? And so, there's a clear narrative and there's a clear conclusion, um, but you during the process, I don't think you kind of can appreciate the art, as much as you end up appreciating it, um, because you're waiting to see what's happening. There's a bit of confusion. It's a new world, new kind of um, different abilities, or fantastical kind of powers that certain things give you. And so from that sense, it's great world building, but it's new, and you're trying to get your bearings, and then looking at art that's different, minimal, kind of adds a little bit to the confusion, um, as you're going through. And so I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's it helps kind of to uh, help you remember, and see, kind of review, the art, and look at it, from a different light when you're done with it, when you're kind of mentally maybe reviewing it or going through again. Um, on another pass. But yeah, I highly recommend it. Cosse, his art is how would I describe it? It's memorable. You know, it's like you know it. I think by itself it doesn't pop. It's not like, oh man, technically like so um, fantastically rendered. You know, but that's not what he's going for. You know, and if you see pages like this, kind of just starts to get abstract. Um, you know, uh, but it's expressing something that you know the reader can really take something from. And scenes like this, you know, help with kind of world building, uh, helping you to remember, right, what you're looking at visually. I mean, it's a book that grows on you. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too far into it. You guys will kind of see if you pick it up, but definitely highly recommend this. Um, it actually uh, came out in the US, I think, before anywhere else, before it was translated to French or anything like that. So I think it was created in English to start with. Um, I picked it up just without knowing. It was really blind buy. Um, Maybe the cover looked cool. Um, you know, how often does that happen these days? But yeah, to me, it's just simple, minimalist cover, interested in you know what it might be about, and then went through. Uh, you know, didn't feel like it was mind blowing at first, but you know, it just continues to like build, you know, mentally, the visuals, where he's going with it. And so, yeah, if you're into the art, if you're into visual kind of experimentation in narrative art in comics, you know, this is a fantastic example. And yeah, and then there's like you know, probably a small handful of pieces available um, soon in November at this French gallery. And um, yeah, so thanks for watching. Let me know if you've read it. Let me know what you think. Subscribe, comment. Thanks. Bye.